Hey everyone, Andrea Proeber here with Great Expectations Realty. I am talking today about short sales and what they are and the whole process and kind of explaining those just a little bit. Before we get into that, I do want to remind you that I'm doing these videos to answer your questions about real estate and to connect with you and to share relevant content. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Hit me up. Let me know what you want to know about, like moving to Ocala, what our houses are like down here, what the buying process is, what the selling process is. I am happy to answer your questions and help you out with that. Also, remember that I am an active realtor. I am not a YouTuber. I am a realtor that YouTubes, but not a YouTuber that plays in real estate. So anyway, the difference is I would be more than happy to work with anybody that is buying or selling their home, not just here in Central Florida, but actually have an entire network of really amazing people that I work with throughout the United States, and I can actually get you connected with them as well. So, one last thing before we get into our content, I am trying to get 1,000 subscribers. So please, please, please subscribe to my page so I can go ahead and get that 1,000 subscribers. And if you want, you can also go ahead and hit the notifications thing, and that'll let you know when I have a new video up. Or you can go ahead and also like us on Facebook. A lot of people have been on Facebook with us, but I'm definitely trying to work on YouTube right now. So if you guys can just hit that subscribe button, that would be a really awesome thing for me. Okay, so let's get into it. What is a short sale? It is not a time frame. Everybody thinks a short sale is like, oh, it's really quick. No, it is actually the opposite. It should be called a long sale because they take forever. If you own a home, let's say you owe $200,000. We're going to try and keep it nice round numbers for us because, math skills. So let's say you have $200,000 that you owe on a home and the market changes or something happens, like maybe a job change. That's how it was originally. Maybe a death in the family, especially the breadwinner, or I don't know, a global pandemic. I don't know, something like that happens and you can no longer afford to pay the mortgage. You're like, this is too much house for me. I can't do this, but I can't sell and pay all the closing costs and everything and pay off the mortgage. So what am I supposed to do? So, for whatever reason, you decide you're going to go ahead and sell it before it goes into foreclosure because you don't want a foreclosure on your credit report, which is definitely a good plan. So you put the house up for sale, but you go ahead and put it at $100,000, let's say. It really doesn't matter what the house goes up for, as we'll kind of get into in a minute. It really, really, really doesn't matter. You just want as many offers as possible by people, preferably that understand the short sale kind of thing. Anyway, so you want to put the house up for sale, let's say at $100,000. So you get a whole gob of offers. Everybody's like, yeah, I'm dying to do this short sale, $100,000 house. Okay, they're probably not going to get the house at $100,000, but let's just, keep it easy, right? So you get an offer. It's accepted. You go ahead and accept the offer. Sure, why not? Okay. This is where it kind of gets complicated because this is where the bank gets involved. And when the bank gets involved, they have to prove everything in writing. They can't just be like, sure, we're going to blow $100,000 on this bad loan. We're just going to go ahead and write it off. Don't you worry about it. We trust you. That's not how it works. They have like insurance on it. They have claims they can make on it. They have to prove that they've done their due diligence. They have to prove that you cannot actually afford the loan because of a change in circumstances that's beyond their doing or ability to have foreseen. So anyway, so how do they decide if they're going to go ahead and write off that $100,000? Well, they are going to ask several brokers, normally like 3 or 4 brokers, for their opinions on the price. What is the house worth if you were to sell it in a regular market? If you wanted to do a quick sale, if you wanted, what are the comparables? So they'll ask several brokers. And they do this because they don't want to add additional fees and charges and stuff like that by going through several appraisals. So they'll actually do BPOs. They'll request BPOs, which is broker price opinion. And it may not be a broker necessarily. It might be one of their agents. I have definitely done many broker price opinions long before I was actually a broker. But I had several years experience in real estate. So yeah, done lots of BPOs during the recession. You had to do what you had to do. Okay, so the bank asked the multiple brokers for their opinion for the current market price. Let's see, I have notes so that I can remember what it is and trying not to ramble, but I'm rambling. Okay, so let's say the bank comes back through their rep and says, you know what, we've gotten the opinions of these brokers. It's worth well over $150,000, but you're right, it's not worth $200,000. So at this current market, we're not going to accept the $100,000 contract that you have on it, but if the buyer is willing to pay $150,000, we'll go ahead and sign off on that. Well, let's say the buyer walks because they don't want to pay $50,000. They thought they were going to get this house for $100,000. They're set to pay $100,000. Maybe they can't pay $150,000. So they go ahead and they're like, see ya. So now the listing agent has to put the house back up on the market. And this time they'll change it and say $150,000 bank approved price. Hopefully that stays true because the bank can change their mind at any point. So they go ahead and put $150,000. Normally, this is when I actually would come in with an investor. I like to see somebody else having to go through those first several months and steps and the buyer walks away. That's when I like to swoop in and actually grab the deal. Because then you have an actual price that they've agreed on, which you got about a 75% chance that they'll probably stick to that. You can see how watery, like I said, this is. It's not a exact science because different banks have different rules and there's people involved, and when people are involved, things get a little murky. Okay, so that buyer says no, they walk away, you get a new contract. The new buyer comes in and says, yeah, I'll take the house, $150,000. Great, no problem. Still, the bank also needs a stack of paperwork about yay big from the seller explaining in writing and with proof that they cannot pay that mortgage amount. Okay, that's going to be fun. The seller has to be willing to do that. I don't even offer to do a short sale with someone unless I know that they have the get up and go to take on a bank. If they're not really, if they just kind of want to stick their head in the sand, it's just going to go to foreclosure and there's just really not much I can do. If they're ready, willing, and able to just like, okay, bring on the paperwork. I got this. I need to get this done. If they're like real go-getters, yeah, they can do a short sale. Absolutely. So a lot of it has to do with the attitude of the seller, not so much the buyer. Buyers will come and go necessarily on a short sale, but the seller really has to stick with it all the way through, and it can take quite a while. So let's say that the seller actually does do all of their paperwork, the excessive amounts of paperwork that the buyer or that the bank continues to ask for. They get it all done, all submitted, all done. Okay, well, now you think you're done, right? No. That's when the bank's like, well, now so much time has gone by, I've got to ask for more broker price opinions. So they get maybe the same brokers or different brokers to do all new broker price opinions, which then they give them 3 weeks for it all to go through or whatever. So you got basically another month. So then you're all set, right? Broker price opinions come back. The bank was right with the price. Okay, all set to go. No. What if your buyer is doing financing? So once the bank approves everything, that is actually the time that it initiates the actual contract, the first contract. So you're basically working off of a short sale addendum really for the first portion of it. The actual contract then becomes in play. So that's when the buyer will do their home inspection. They will make sure and submit their paperwork to their bank. Sometimes it's the same bank. It's kind of funny. They'll go ahead and submit their paperwork. They will go ahead and get an appraisal. done, an actual appraisal. They have to get a survey. Sometimes they have to test the water. All of that stuff has to go on before they can actually close on it. So that's anywhere from 30 to 45 days if they have financing. So you're like, okay, so that's the end of it now. Not necessarily. Again, if you've got 30 or 45 days, the bank may come back and say, well, okay, so we've got the seller approved, we got the buyer approved, everybody's ready for closing, but it's gone past our time frame, so now we need broker price opinion again. Great. So guess what? That's another month. Okay, and that can mess with the financing for the buyer. So for short sales, it's normally best to work with a buyer that is cash. It's also really, really good to work with a buyer that is not necessarily in love with the house and wants to use it as their own personal home. It's much better to work with an investor that doesn't care about time frames or the mountain of paperwork that may come to their way. So for many reasons, it's actually great for investors to go ahead and purchase that. Not saying that I've not sold it to first-time home buyers or to owner occupants before. I have. It's very difficult. I have actually even done a short sale on a 1031 exchange, and I'm telling you right now, never do that. Anybody that's in real estate will understand what I just said, and they'll be like, why? We got it closed like literally days before our time expired on the 1031 exchange. But I made sure that the buyers knew everything from the start. So anyway, okay. But yes, I got that done. I have done that. Not to be duplicated ever again. I was swallowing stomach acid for weeks. All right. So anyway, so you've got the buyer, you got the seller, like got the bank, everybody is all set. How long does this process actually take for a short sale? Minimum, absolute minimum, 90 days. Okay, minimum. And that's like cash, and that's like super simple. Everything flies through. You've got, everybody understands. I would say at least 90 days. Much closer to 6 months. It's normally about 6 months. I have seen them take several years. And keep in mind, it's not like the bank is just like, la-di-da, we're not going to do anything about it. We'll just see how the short sale goes through. No, they are going through a foreclosure. They have already got the attorney. They are doing the paperwork. If this short sale doesn't go through, they want to be able to just go ahead and go straight to court. Normally, it's 2 different departments in the bank anyway. So you think they're talking to each other? They don't talk to each other. They don't communicate. So you've got the foreclosure department is moving towards the foreclosure. They got the attorney, they got the paperwork, they're submitting it to the court, they're doing all their stuff over there. And then you got the short sale person over here who is mediating, trying to get the short sale through. This is happening simultaneously. So your closing is basically up against the clock to see which one happens first. So if it takes 2 years for the short sale to go through, and it only takes 18 months for the foreclosure to go through, all the work you did on the short sale is gone. The bank does not normally, it is extremely rare that the bank will actually do anything foreclosure-wise with that paperwork from the short sale. It normally has absolutely nothing to do with each other. So if you are holding out for a short sale and it goes into foreclosure, you get your escrow money back. But that's about it. You've basically just kind of wasted your time because it's just not going to happen. You could go ahead and try and purchase it on the foreclosure sale though. Anyway, so I've had quite a few questions about distress sales lately, much more so than in the past, and well, in the recent past, we'll say. Sorry, that banging is, they're building a house not far from me, and that's the dumpster dumping sand. So just in case you heard it, it was like super loud to me, but anyway. So yeah, that is a distress sale, short sale process in a nutshell. Not saying there isn't surprises, but that's essentially it. Oh, and one other little thing that pops up that not many people are aware until closing day sometimes. The bank will go ahead and pay all of the closing costs and fees and whatnot on the short sale, including the agents, both agents' commission and all that. But any money that they write off, so that $100,000+ or whatever that they wrote off, which is the deficiency plus commissions and whatnot, and all of the closing costs with the title company and all that kind of fun stuff, yeah, they're going to give the seller a 1099 form. So basically, it's as if they literally gifted that money to them, and then it becomes income. So you want to make sure before you really start the process that you understand you may get a 1099 showing up that you have $100,000 more in income that year than previously. So check with the bank at the beginning of the process and see if that's going to happen, and check with your accountant and see what that's going to entail. But yeah, that could happen. So heads up on that. Keep an eye out for it. All right. That is it for me. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm trying for that 1,000 subscribers. Help me out, people. If you have any questions, go ahead and let me know. I know this is kind of a long-ish video about a subject that is even longer, but because we are starting to see some short sales come into the market, despite having a really, really strong market on the sales, I figured it'd be about the time to go ahead and go over some of the basics on this. So if you have any questions, like I said, hit me up. Let me know if the content is relevant to you, and if you want more content or something else, I would be more than happy to answer your questions. I thank you for watching. Bye.